So you want to make money from your podcast. I get it. But we have to clear the air. We have to talk about why your show is not attracting listeners and is not making profits. I know, you're going to be surprised what the common thread is. So let's dig in. Welcome to the podcast about podcasting, where you guessed it, we're talking all things podcasting, but not just in the sense of strategy of how to launch, grow, and monetize your show. Of course, you're going to get that, but we're also going deep into how podcasting can help you with your self-care, build your community, build your confidence, and if you're willing to lean deep into this platform, it can be your ticket to the life of your dreams because it'll inspire you to go deeper with your self-love. And we all know success starts from within. If you are ready to stop being a ripple in this world and bust out your tsunami of change you know you were made for, it's podcasting for your soul. So let's dig in. Are you ready to dig in to why your podcast might not be attracting listeners or making money? You are going to, well, if you've been around, you know what I'm about to say. But if you haven't, you might want to grab a pen and paper and really listen to this episode because this is how this show is growing. I do not share this show on social media. I do not pay for ads, yet it is growing leaps and bounds in comparison to my show that I am pushing out to all of my social platforms all the time. This show is also the one where I have people end up on sales calls with me that I've never heard from before, don't even know who they are, that end up being my potential buyers. That just, the other day I had somebody come into my space onto a sales call from this podcast that was like halfway through the call, she's like, I don't need to hear the spiel. Where can I pay you? This is what I need. And I was like, oh my goodness, this works. So are you ready? Are you ready to hear the thing? You must get clear and have a strategy. This is so hard for spiritual entrepreneurs, for healers, for change makers, for coaches, because we want to break the norms. We don't want to live in strategy. And I get that. I am a rule breaker. I hate strategy. I hate having to do the things. But there are some places in your podcast that you must have strategy. And it starts with your foundation, getting clear on who you are, your triumphs, your struggles, your expertise. Then you have to get super clear on that one person you are talking to. Hi, Sally. Although you might not be Sally, you are somebody who is like Sally, who can still benefit. Sally is my ideal client. Once you do that, you have to start thinking about what are they actually searching for? Unless you want to be a slave to social media, you need to realize how important SEO is, search engine optimization. This is the ideal way to grow your show. This is how I've grown the show. You may have either got to the show from a referral or from searching for something, right? That's what we want for your show. And it is so hard for me, and I get so emotional about this because my other podcast, the name is near and dear to my heart. But I'm really on the fence of being like, okay, it's time to rebrand. It's time to rebrand my show to something that is keyword searchable, just like this show. I originally wanted to call it Podcasting for Your Soul, but nobody is searching that. So we got a super simple title. And then, of course, I added Podcasting to Your Soul at the end. But here's the thing. If you don't want to have to search out and look for and find and engage with every single person that you want to come in and get your message, you have to know what they're searching for. You have to know what it is you solve, and you have to get so specific. You've heard me say it before, the one product, the one service, the one audience person, the one. Get that foundation. Once you get that one down and it becomes a flow, of course you can pivot. You're not stuck with this forever. I know. That's a good thing, right? As a manifesting generator who loves to pivot, if you know human design, I love to pivot. I don't like to be stuck, but being in one place, having one thing, talking to one person is really where it's at. When you figure out what your one person is Googling and you start adding those in the key places inside your podcast, which are your show name, your description, and your episode titles. Did you hear? I didn't say show notes. Show notes are not beneficial to you in the search world, at least at this current moment. Yeah, unless you're putting them on a blog and then directing your blog to your podcast, you're not actually capitalizing on all that hard work you're doing. That's why you see in this show, you get links. You get bare minimum because it's not beneficial. And how many of you listening actually open the show notes and read them? Anybody? Raise your hand. Anybody? I'm curious. I'd love to know. But I really do believe that once you start talking to these people and you find out a strategy that works for you, you can truly have this life freedom that you wanted from being a podcaster, being an entrepreneur. We didn't become entrepreneurs and want to build businesses because we wanted to work more hours than we worked in our 40-hour week that we hated, right? We didn't want to be a slave to social media. We didn't want to do all these things. But it starts with that foundational clarity. Once you get from that clarity, you start putting the strategy in. And that strategy is, again, your episode titles, your show description, your show name. And then, there's obviously more that goes along with that. But you start working backwards because once you have that crystal clear idea, you can come up with what I call the flow. Your free, your low, and your high-end offers. I love this process because, again, now that you're clear who it is you talk to, how you serve, and where you're going, you start working backwards. So you have flow. So the free offer, that's getting people onto your email list, whether that's a free community that you ask for their emails to come in and you trade them for something, whether that's a free checklist, a free whatever it is that your audience would actually want. Then you have your low ticket offer. This is that offer that people don't have to get on a sales call with you. This is your no touch offer. No touch. This is your course. This is something that can be sold without you having to touch it. This becomes your passive. And then you have your offer, which I recommend starting with a one-on-one so that you really get to know your audience and figure out what it is that you actually can offer and transform. So if you're really just getting started, I would go with free and offer first, and your offer be your one-on-one, and then work backwards and say, oh my goodness, this is what I'm seeing over and over again with my one-on-one clients. Okay, I'm going to create my low-end offer, which a low-end can be $2,000 if you position it correctly. And then from there, you can go into, whether you have a mastermind or you keep your one-on-one, but you have to focus on that one thing in the beginning. I always say have a free offer because we want people on your email list because it's a great way to nurture. And if all the other things get taken down, at least you still have an email list, right? An email list converts so well. Not quite as well as a podcast, but it's right up there with it. So I highly recommend having at least one thing to get people on your email list. What I love is I have a podcast, I use Pinterest, and I have a Facebook community. I know, I hate social media, but I love community. And since people are already on that app, it's proven that they will show up more. So those are the places that I show up. And of course, my email list. To get into my community, I have a question that says, do you want my freebie? And they give me my email and then I connect with them and give them the freebie. I also do free events inside my community. So every month I do a 3-day intensive on podcasting. And we go back and forth between launching and growing and monetizing. Every other month I do one for launch, and then the next month I do one for growth and monetization with an offer at the end. And then weekly I show up and give value just like I do on this podcast. But it's not as deep as this podcast. It's higher level. But you still get so much value. So see, what I'm telling you is I'm giving and I'm seeing what content is working. But I'm not What you didn't hear me say is posting 500 times, posting my episodes, doing all this. No. And then the next strategy is getting on other people's show. But again, to monetize, you need to actually understand that clarity, that framework, that one person, that one offer, that one thing that you want to be known for, and then go backwards. And once you figure out like what your legacy offer is, it's really easy to start developing content for your podcast, for your anything, for your Facebook group, anything that you have. If you work backwards, because when you have that clarity and that foundation, it's easy to give people the first step. The second step, and that would be your podcast, your community, your email list. They get the first or second steps. But if they want to take bigger leaps, then they come into your courses, your programs, your one-on-one offers. It's really easy to create. And then from there, you create micro content to drive into the podcast or the, events that you're doing. And that micro content is your show titles, that SEO driver, the thing that people are searching for. So if you take anything away, get clear on what it is, your one person, your one offer, your one thing, and start to work on your flow, your free, low, and offer, and then build your content from there. I am so excited. If you are ready to go deeper, come join us inside the Feed Your Business with Love community, and I can't wait to see you. Have the most amazing day, and I will see you next week. Go out and do the thing.